Leaders from the EU and China are holding talks to address deep divisions over trade and the war in Ukraine. The summit in Beijing is the first of its kind in 4 years and comes at a time of increased tension. The EU is accusing Chinese firms of helping Russia evade Western sanctions, while China wants the EU to end an investigation into Chinese subsidies for electric cars. The talks also come a day after EU member Italy said it'll pull out of China's flagship Belt and Road trade initiative. EU officials told Reuters news agency they don't expect the summit to produce any concrete outcomes. For more, reporter Staś Butler spoke to EU-China scholar Zsuzsa Anna Ferenczy.
If we're going into this summit already expecting that nothing, concrete is going to come out of it, why hold a summit at all?
It is important to hold a summit and to keep channels of communication open in order to keep trying to get the message across. Whether the message gets across does not really depend on China as much as it depends on us and how consistent we are with our messaging. It's really thanks to China to a great extent that we are able to move closer together, because we are frustrated on the European side with how little China has done to address our grievances.
Do you think that the EU has understood China's concerns?
That's a good question. What are China's concerns? Because what we've seen coming out of China is a very assertive approach. I fail to see how the two sides can actually converge, having such different language and such different expectations from each other. So I believe that the European side has been trying to adjust and recalibrate its approach. I fail to see how China is rethinking its approach towards Europe. And I completely fail to see how China has understood how important the Ukraine issue is for Europeans. So not only does China not play a constructive role in that sense, but China has been refusing to even talk about it.
You mentioned how Ukraine is one of, obviously, the major grievances the EU has in this relationship. How big of a role will Taiwan play in these talks?
Taiwan remains a difficult issue to discuss with China because China refuses any dialogue on issues that it considers of core national interest. Given how different the two positions are, I don't expect Taiwan to really be prominent on the agenda, but I do expect for the European side to maintain that position that Taiwan is important, that strategically speaking, the EU needs to take into consideration the impact of tension growing in the Indo-Pacific.
That was Zsuzsa Anna Ferenczy from National Dong Hwa University speaking to Staś Butler.